He's Matt Tate, I'm Tom Keegan, and we are KU Sports Extra. Today we're going to talk about the KU football opening spring practice. David Beaty's first practice as a head coach since he was coaching in the high school ranks in Texas. Matt Tate, what's the first thing that stood out to you about how David Beaty conducts practice?
That boy had some fire in him. I'm not going to lie to you, amigo.
He did. I thought it was organized, and I thought it was really up-tempo, and I think those are two good things.
No question about it. I mean, guys running from drill to drill, from play to play. First team finishes a play, second team runs, sprints right behind them. If they didn't, they got yelled at by the assistant coaches. I think that stood out to me more than anything. This did not look like a spring ho-hum, let's just ease into it, kind of like a first day of class when you just get the syllabus and then you go home.
Right.
It wasn't like that at all. It looked like a game week type of preparation. A lot of fire, a lot of energy, and these guys are clearly ready to turn the page and usher in this new era that's going to be about working hard, lots of energy, and earning everything you get. And I know those are cheesy, cliche things, but I love them. I think that's exactly what KU has to do. These guys have to earn what they get because they've done nothing.
They've done nothing, obviously, and they really have lost a lot to graduation, to transfer, to early entry to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's really a really thin roster, but David Beaty said he's not going to worry about how many scholarship players they have. He's just going to coach up who they have here, and it was interesting to see how he coached them up, not only the fast tempo, but creating distractions, such as the music playing throughout the entire practice.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Well, it used to be during stretching in the early individual periods. They would have their music, a lot of rap, a lot of hip-hop, high energy type of thing. And then as soon as that was over and they started practicing, they'd shut the music down and you could hear the whistle echoing, you could hear the coaches yelling. It just became kind of an outdoor, stale environment, but not this day. I mean, it was music the entire time. Some of it hard to listen to, some of it, like Beaty said, we got to worry about the playlist, make sure the words are all proper and appropriate, but
they weren't.
It's football. I mean, come on, nobody's paying attention to that stuff, but I think you said it, and he answered your question about that. He said it gets his heart going.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not his favorite music, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it gets him fired up, and that's the name of the game out there.
That's right. As far as personnel, when I was watching the drills, the one player who stood out to me the most was number 56, Anthony Alobia, who's a defensive end, not a big defensive end, but you don't have to be huge. They did the drill where the football's on the end of a stick, and the D-line coach would do that to simulate a snap.
One more time. Okay, perfect.
To simulate a snap, and you'd see who was the get-off was the best. And, wow, Alobia is really, really quick. And that portends well for his pass rushing ability. Real excited about him. As far as physical appearance, how much slimmer and more in condition Larry Mazik is. He had all those false start penalties last year. And how much bigger Jordan Shelley-Smith, who switched positions last year from tight end to offensive line. Did it take place in mid-season?
Yeah, mid-season.
Yeah, and he just looked a lot bigger. He's really hit the weight room and changed the way he's eating. So that was encouraging. And what other signs did you see personnel-wise that were encouraging?
Yeah, close to 50 or 60 pounds up for Shelley Smith. I mean, he's close to 300 right now. And that was one of the reasons they switched him, because they were having a hard time keeping the weight off. So they said, forget it. His dad was an NFL offensive lineman. Let's just add the weight and see if we can do it. And it looked like he was running a lot of time with the first team on the offensive line at left tackle. I love it. He's a tight end. He's athletic to begin with. That could be a great spot for him if he can handle the position. So long way to go before we know that yet, but I love that he's already working there.
Right, and another interesting thing was that they were installing offense already.
Yeah.
And David Beaty explained that it's a simple offense that you have to get the execution close to perfect. Because if the defense kind of knows what's coming, you've got to be perfect with your execution. And yesterday he said they weren't perfect, but the tempo he liked because they got how many plays in how many minutes?
94 plays in 44 minutes. And he said 2 plays a minute is usually pretty darn good. That's over 2 plays a minute, obviously, with the math there. That's awesome. I mean, that really is a good sign. A good sign of the intelligence of these kids, and obviously that they're working hard.
And that it's a simpler offense.
Exactly.
So maybe Larry Mazik's not thinking about what he's supposed to be doing all the time and has fewer false start penalties. That'd be an example of what could be a benefit from having a more simplified offense. And he said also to tell you how it's not complicated, it's just something they're going to have perfect execution with. He said he'd install day 1, day 2, day 3, and go back to day 1 and keep repeating that pattern over and over and over until everyone gets bored. They've got it down pat.
Yeah. That was the best thing he said, until they get bored. We want everyone to know what everyone else is doing at once. And I think that's perfect. I've heard since he was hired, since Rob Likens was introduced as the offensive coordinator, that this was a simple offense that they could learn in 3 days. That's why they think some of the freshmen that won't be here until June could actually compete and learn this offense like that. That's incredible. 3 days. I mean, day 1, day 2, day 3. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. These guys are going to get bored with it, but they're also going to perfect it, because if they don't perfect it, then they're going to fall to the bottom of the line. One thing I really love, too, is they don't have a depth chart yet. They have position charts, he said, and it's just kind of trying to feel guys out. They're still trying to find out what they have. So
that fits their system.
Yeah, why slot this guy here or that guy here? They have a rough draft, a rough idea of what's going on there, but there's no reason to do first string, second string. In fact, Beaty said, sometimes we'll put the fourth guy at a position into the first spot just to see how he handles it.
And take the guy who was playing with the first team and put him in the fourth spot to see how he handles it.
I love that.
Because a demotion is adversity. Absolutely. How does he handle adversity? This roster is going to face a ton of adversity because depth-wise, they're going to be worse than even the 1AA opponent from South Dakota, whether it's South Dakota or South Dakota State. I'm not sure which.
Bingo.
But also Memphis and Rutgers, and then the entire Big 12, they're going to be at a depth disadvantage and maybe in every case a talent disadvantage, perhaps even in the 1AA game. I don't know, but right now he's just concerned with getting a little better every day, and I like the day 1, day 2, day 3, and getting back to day 1, 2, 3. And they won't get bored. They'll get excited that they're doing it better, that they have it down pat. Plus, just like if you work on your chipping, work on it, and it starts getting better, you don't get bored. You get excited.
And you get better. 94 plays, cool. It's cool, too, the benchmark, right? The next day, they automatically want to go run 95. And if they get 95, let's hit 100. You know, I mean, those little subtle things are going to be huge with this team. One, because it's inexperienced, but two, because these guys are young. They all are eager to prove something, eager to please. I want to play. Do you want to play? Sure. Okay, let's go run 100 plays. I mean, it's just finding ways to impress the coaches, finding ways to prove your worth, and I think it's fantastic. I really do think they're headed in the right direction. Does that mean they're going to be 12-0 or 9-3? Of course not. This team's going to have a real struggle this year. It's going to be hard for them
It's
to win
incredibly shallow in terms of the depth. Now, they have walk-ons filling in, but even there you get late to the party on walk-ons, and they've done a nice job of getting a full roster of walk-ons.
Sure. Like 30.
But the deal is they barely have any safeties. They barely have any linebackers.
Yeah.
The offensive line, the burden of proof is heavily on the offensive line. Had a very poor season last year, and in some ways they're even thinned on the ranks there. So that's a problem. Not saying that the personnel is in a good spot right now, because it's not.
Right.
But they're taking the right approach with fast tempo practices, organized practices, and already advanced on what they're putting in.
Yeah, and the adversity thing's huge. I mean, everything from hail and a delay at the first practice, that's adversity. All these other things, the roster, the number of
the manufactured distractions.
Yeah, right. Those things are great. And Beaty told me the day before spring practice started, he said, we pushed them as hard as we could possibly push them this offseason. Janae Jackson, the new strength coach, and his staff put these guys through hell. He made it miserable for them. He made them, and you hear that with every strength coach. But the one thing he said he learned by doing that was that he's got a team full of guys that won't quit. They just kept pushing through it. They just kept bouncing back. And they just kept waking up the next day at 5 a.m. and doing it again. And, that's how you build a foundation. That's how you have to rebuild, too. And that's absolutely what they're doing yet again, rebuilding. But it does truly seem like the program is in good hands and heading in the right direction and moving at a pretty good speed.
But it's going to take a long time, purely personnel-wise.
Yeah.
Now, Kenny Perry, who was really an in-your-face coach with great energy, has an unbelievable reputation down in Texas for recruiting. So does David Beaty. The fact that they have so many Kansas walk-ons already shows you that relations are improving there. But in football, even if they have a whiz-bang recruiting class next year, well, it'll be Beatty's third or fourth year before that class really is able to blossom, because this is a developmental sport. And it's going to take a long time, and the administration has to be patient, and I think it will be.
Speaking of patience, in a long time, the quarterback position is in no hurry. Beaty said that all along, and he said that again after the first practice. He said flat out, I don't care if we wait until the day of the game to name our starter. We're going to get the right guy. And, you know, Michael Cummings, Montel Cozart, those guys are out there right now, and those are the guys with some experience. But this thing's a long way from over, so nobody should be worrying too soon about who the quarterback is. It's going to be a long process, and then there's going to be 2 freshmen that come in June that are going to have something to say about it. They'll get a fair chance to compete. So it won't be during the spring practice. It won't be by the end of spring ball.
And comments he made showed you he does mean it when he says everybody's involved here or in the competition, because he keeps going back to the TCU quarterback going from someone they were looking to replace to a Heisman finalist, Trevon Boykin. And that makes you think, well, Cozart is starting from scratch, and he'll get a real chance, which is a little scary because you want to put a lot of stock still in what he did in the ultimate adversity, and that's playing the position when your offensive line's not good and you're not wearing a red shirt. So you're live and you could get hit, and you will get hit. Michael Cummings started the practice at number 1. He said don't read too much into that, but that tells you he's in the running. He mentioned the good junior college walk-on quarterback, is his number 18, is it? Or
there was the Brock Gilmore, I think.
Brock Gilmore, yes, that was a cool name.
6'3", 232 from Coffeyville and Chanute High School. I mean, again, a Kansas guy. 6'3", 232. Beaty said, hey, this kid's a good quarterback. So
and also T.J. Millward, he said, this cat is smart.
Smart as a whip.
Smart as a whip.
You know how smart whips are?
Oh, man.
God, they smart. But anyway, there's a lot of patience that needs to be in place, and I think the program, the players, the coaches, I think they have it. I think they understand it.
And he's not over-promising.
Not at all. Not at all. One of the best things, and then we'll wrap it up, but one of the best things he said was, we're ready to deal in reality. We're here to wipe away perception. We don't want to hear what people have done in the past. We don't want to base anything off of what people are supposed to be. We're doing it by what we see. Reality. Is this guy better than that guy? Is this guy working harder than this guy? I mean,
and is he executing? Is he detail-oriented, assignment sound? Those are huge things. And it was fun to watch the practice. And, David Beaty was excited to see what he sees on film and said they didn't execute well. And he said he's happy at the tempo they went. And then he said he didn't execute well, so that makes you believe that he's happy with the tempo when he admits what he's not happy with. For Matt Tate, I am Tom Keegan, and we're KU Sports Extra. We'll see you next time.